Okay, so now we're looking at congruent triangles. Congruent triangles, remember, there are 5 ways you can determine triangles are congruent. Congruent triangles, remember, we're just trying to determine if the 2 triangles are the same size and the same shape. That's what congruent means. So if 2 triangles are the same size and same shape, that means all 3 angles and all 3 sides are exactly the same. Let me draw you a picture. So if these 2 triangles are congruent, that means that all 3 sides are the same, and it also means that all 3 angles are the same. Those 2 match up, those 2 match up, and those 2 match up. So anyway, that's what congruent triangles look like. But you don't have to know all 3 angles and all 3 sides in order to determine that 2 triangles are congruent. There's 5 ways you can do it. For example, and we think about football, do I have to tell you every single detail about a football team to have you know which football team I'm talking about? If I tell you, for example, if I'm talking about the Dallas Cowboys, all I have to do is tell you that it's a football team that plays in Dallas, that plays in the NFL. I don't have to continue and give you the entire roster, what color their uniforms are, who their owner is, what their record is, what their schedule is. I don't need to give you all that. I just need to tell you what's the NFL team that plays in Dallas. There's only one possible answer. So when we do the same thing with triangles, I don't need to give you all 3 angle pairs and all 3 side pairs. We can establish it if we can just show 3 pairs out of those 6. You got 3 angle pairs and 3 side pairs. If we can just show 3 pairs total between the sides and angles, that's enough, but they have to be in the right order. So for example, first one is side, side, side. Side, side, side means I've got 2 triangles. I don't know a thing about their angles, but I do know that all 3 of their sides match up, okay? That's side, side, side. Then you've got side, angle, side. Side, angle, side is when I have 2 triangles and they have 2 pairs of sides that match and what we call the included angle. Same order. That's side, angle, side. Then we have angle, side, angle. I'm going to move this up a little bit. We've got angle, side, angle. And angle, side, angle is now I have 2 pairs of angles and 1 pair of sides. So I've got an angle, an angle, an angle, an angle, and a side that's included in the same order. So we got angle, side, angle. Then we have angle, angle, side. Let me keep this here, where I've got AAS. So that means now I've got 2 triangles. And I've got an angle, an angle, an angle, an angle, and then they have the same side here. So you can see the difference between ASA and AAS. Here the side is between the 2 angles, here it's not. But it has to be the same. I can't have this side marked on this triangle and this side marked here because now the side is touching that angle and not that angle. So we have another one called HL, which you don't have to worry about, but anyway, these are your 4 big sides. So if I go back up to the prompt, it tells me that that angle M is also congruent to angle P. Okay, what's already marked on your picture? I've got 1 pair of sides marked. Remember, those are called tick marks or slashes, whatever you want to call them. Those sides are the same. What is it telling me in my question? Angle M is congruent to angle P. Okay, so now I've got 2. I've got a side and I've got an angle. So chances are, which one am I not going to use? Probably not going to use SSS. The question is, how do I find that 3rd piece? Well, if you remember, we talked about special types of angles, and we have a special type of angle. When we have 2 lines that intersect, the angles that are across from each other match up. So like angle 1 and angle 2 would be the same, and angle 3 and angle 4 would be the same. These are called vertical angles. So you always look for the vertical angles in your picture because you know they're always equal. Well, I've got a pair of vertical angles right here. So I know those two guys are equal. So now look at your triangles. What do you have? Angle, side, angle. So that is your answer. Why is this not angle, angle, side? Well, angle, angle, side would be if the side was not between the two angles. The side is included between the two angles, so that's angle, side, angle. Okay, so let's look at one more example of this. All right, so let's look at one more example. And once again, I know that this one and this one are the same. And I'm told that L and O are the same. So look carefully at this picture. It's a little different. Those guys are the same. So once again, SSS is probably out because I don't have a third side. Even if I found another side, I don't have three. So I'm going to look for angles, and my automatic go-to is vertical. So I know that these guys are the same because they are vertical. Now, since they're vertical, I look at my picture. Remember on the previous picture, it was angle, side, angle, because the side was in between? Look where the side is now. That side is not between the two angles. You have an angle, and then the side. So this is actually AAS. So you have to be careful and make sure that you are using the correct sequence for the congruent triangles. Now let's look down here at this one here. This one is a little tough. Sorry, that's my cat destroying everything. Buttercup, get down. So this is the transitive property. And it tells you, remember transitive property. Transitive property, if you can't remember, says if A is equal to B and B is equal to C, then A must be equal to C. And that works with congruences. And it makes sense, right? A and C are both equal to B, so they must be equal to each other. That's transitive. So this one says we're going to use the transitive property here. So let's look at our picture. It says if box is congruent to car, and I'm going to use color so you can see it. Triangle box is congruent to triangle car. Triangle car is congruent to triangle bun. Which statement, and here we got to be careful, is not necessarily true? So don't pick the one that is true, pick the one that isn't true. Okay, which one is not necessarily true? All right, let's look at the first one. Angle OXB is congruent to UNB. Well, remember when you have congruent triangles, the sequence matters. So let's look at OXB. OXB. Do you see the order I went in? OXB. Is that the same as UNB? Yes, it is. So that's good. So we don't want that one. We want the one that's not true. Okay? OX is congruent to AR. OX is congruent to AR. That is correct. So that is also not what you're looking for. Okay? Now, when we do the transitive property also, if you remember, what I'm doing also is that this triangle is congruent to this one by the transitive. Like I did up here, if A is congruent to B, B is congruent to C, then A is equal to C. Since box is the same as car, and car is the same as bun, box and bun are also the same. All right, angle BOX is congruent to UBN. Okay, let's go. BOX. UBN. Nope, out of order. So that is the answer we're looking for. And if you go to the last one, BX, BN, those also work, and we're looking for the one that's not true. So that's how you do this particular one. You use your congruent statements. So let's look at this last one here. with the same idea. You're going to be using the transitive property, okay? So I've got JKL is congruent to PQR, and PQR is congruent to MSN. Now what does that mean? That also means that JKL and MSN will be the same. Okay, so you're just matching up letters. Which statement, and always be careful when you do this, guys, which statement is not necessarily true? If it says which one is true, you look for the one that works. If it says not necessarily true, you're looking for the one that doesn't work. So angle LKJ is congruent to MSN. So let's try this. LKJ, MSN. Now, that's not going in the same order. However, the vertex is K congruent to S, and the answer is yes. So that one is actually correct. The next one says KL is congruent to SN. So that one is correct also. That is also true. This one says KJL and SMN. So that is correct. And QR and SN. So look at this. They're all correct. So this one would be a none of the above. Okay? I'm thinking on this one that there was probably trying to keep these two different, but there would be none of these. This would be none of the above. Okay? And that little answer choice didn't pop up there. So this would be none of the above. Now on the test, you probably won't have any with none of the above, but on this one, that's what the answer would be.